It takes a team, so we should just be grateful and thank everybody for just putting this together and just
and the listeners for listening and buying tickets and supporting rock and roll.
Absolutely. So was this hard to put together because it's so different from what you guys have done? I mean, I know you guys are pros at putting festivals together, but this is completely different.
Well, yeah, like normally when we go to a market, it's very turnkey for us to do a rock and roll festival where you have 2, 3, 4 stages. The difference is everything else that goes into this, obviously with the giant bourbon activations with Angel's Envy, Jim Beam, Buffalo Trace, go down the line, and then you add the food element, the gourmet man food element, with all the great local eaters that are here, the beer village, the giant Jack Daniels exhibit, the Germantown celebration, because obviously Germany has had a huge influence in Louisville, so there's no better partner than Jägermeister over there creating this festive cooking village. And then you go over the Crazy Days tent. You can play all the guitars and meet all the manufacturers from Marshall amplifiers to Epiphone to Kramer to ESP guitars to Jackson. I mean, you go down the list. Everyone that's kind of a part of rock and roll culture is out here and to celebrate, and that's why it's called Louder Than Life.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, where did this start? Like, you guys were just sitting around one day and you said, what can we do?
Rock on the Range isn't enough, so let's go ahead and do another one together.
Like, we're not busy enough yet, but let's just one up ourselves.
2 years ago, we're traveling around looking at different spots, but the reason we came here was not to necessarily start a festival. We came here to start a bourbon, and the more places we went, the more places we ate, we kind of did a U-turn. We said, well, why start a bourbon when you can start a great kind of a one-of-its-kind festival in this market here, and there is really no other place you can do this at.
I love it. Now, are you going to start branching out and doing this more?
In Louisville, we're going to do this
Just
kind of.
Louisville?
I mean, this is special.
Yeah.
You can't do this anywhere else. You can't do this type of festival. I mean, 95% of the world's bourbon is made here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So the bourbon element.
The world, is that right?
In the world.
The world.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a great way to feature what makes this city and this region so great.
And the people are very nice. This is a great place to do something like this. Everybody we've encountered, we had Wes over here earlier from Angel's Envy, who makes a hell of a product. But you could tell he was not proud just to be a part of this festival, but to be from here. Like the pride is beaming out of the people here that are helping you guys locally with this festival.
And it starts from the top, from Mayor Fisher all the way down to Mike Maloney to Marty Storch that runs all the parks and the recreation and gives us the actual access to this type of park. It starts from the city, and the city opened their arms to us and welcomed us, and now they're great friends, and we're here to build this thing long term. We're not planning to be here 1 year. We're here 5, 10, 15, 20.
Absolutely.
That's the goal.
How do you start logistically on this? Because when if you look at a setup like Rock on the Range, you've got only so much space, and you've got a stadium in the middle. You had tons and tons of space, but you had to place things.
Well, it always starts with the bands, and Gary and Danny do a great job on finding the talent that makes sense for this type of show, and then it comes on to my team and our other people that are involved, finding the right partners, going to Jack Daniels, literally walking into every distillery and introducing ourselves and saying, this is what we're trying to do. I know it's different, but let's do it, and it's going to be great. And everyone's.
Oh, and I'm sure they welcome that. They're probably pretty thought
yeah.
that was pretty awesome. You're just like, it's an awesome idea. Why didn't we think of that sooner?
And then I get you guys getting inspired and making your Jack Daniels dishes.
Oh, we love it. I mean, I'm a horrible cook.
We had a blast. I remember when I first talked to Clay about this, he was like, this is going to be 3 times as hard because we're adding all the elements in. I was like, just what can we do? He's like, can you guys cook? Not really, but we'll take over a kitchen and screw it up. And we did. We had a great time preparing for this festival. So thanks for letting us be a part of it. But this is something for us that we want to do with you for the 5, 10, 15, 20 years that exist. I mean, how many times a year do we see each other just covering festivals anyway? We like to do this. If you guys didn't do this, it wouldn't be as much fun for us. But this one has something very different. And I said to Tina, I can't wait to see what this thing looks like next year. Not that I'm not looking forward to the next 2 days, but I know you guys well enough to know that you will enhance this in many ways for the next one.
Yeah, we're going to grow this thing every year, and as people kind of see how it looks and the vibe and the energy. I think the bourbons are more, surprised than anything, because they're normally kind of come in and then say, here, this is all we do, this is all we're allowed to do. We pretty much gave them a blank canvas, say, paint a picture, what makes best for you, what's exciting about your brand. So you go over to the bourbon tent, there's mechanical buffalo rides, there's tattoo parlors.
We haven't ventured out of the media area yet, so we have so much to do.
Now we've learned long ago and quickly that it's one thing to put up 2 stages and a side stage and throw a bunch of bands up. You got to have an experience,
Absolutely.
or people won't come.
People
I mean,
pay
and
good
it has
money
to be
for
an
this, they want,
experience that's local and regional to each festival. Like Carolina Rebellion, the experience will be different than Louder Than Life, which will be different than Rock on the Range. It has to be, or else we're just putting on McDonald's.
Yeah.
And it has to be. There's a, not to give away secrets, but there's a simple 3-step rule for a festival: is location, which we love. This is a great location.
Yeah.
Same as we love the Charlotte Motor Speedway and Columbus Crew.
Yeah.
Location, bands, ticket price. And if you notice our ticket prices compared to other great destination festivals in America, and there are some good ones, we're half.
What you can see here
if
is
not
amazing for the price.
more than
it really
that.
is.
And that's really important to us. We will leave money on the table as promoters to make sure that we have a brand that they won't feel ripped off.
Yeah.
We're like that with every festival. It's not just this one specific. I mean, we go, like Gary said, Rebellion, Rock on the Range, and all the other festivals we do. It is about those 3 elements.
Well, that's what it's all about, though, too, are the listeners and the people that are buying these tickets. That's what the festival's for. So why not make it where they can afford it and have a great time and have a great experience, so they'll come back next year.
If they could discover one band and see a band they love, and then discover a new barbecue joint or a new bourbon flavor.
Absolutely.
That's it for us.
Well, I have to ask, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but speaking of discovering new bands and stuff like that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're the reason why Nothing More is who they are, because was it a YouTube video that somebody sent you and you said, I'm going to put these guys on
the YouTube video was sent by Clay.
Oh,
I'm pointing
Clay.
at him right now.
I have the funny.
Well,
I went to
that's great.
went to a free show in Los Angeles at the Roxy.
Like the Warped Tour Battle of the
It
Bands
was the
thing?
free Metal Mondays that they had, and they opened
right.
up for Adrenaline Mob, and they were the first of 5, and it was a slow night. And my buddy said, "Hey, you got to come check out this band." And I'm standing there by myself watching this band, and Nick Adler, everyone knows who Nick Adler is. He owns the Roxy. His father's Lou Adler, Mamas and the Papas.
Yeah.
Music Dynasty.
Monterey Pop.
Yeah,
Lou
Monterey
Adler.
Pop Festival. And Nick goes up to
We
me,
wouldn't
he's
be here if it wasn't for Lou
and Nick
Adler.
goes to me, he's like, "If you don't work with this band, I'm going to work with this band." And I didn't need that cosign. We were already signed up, and we put them on one of Danny's festivals in Florida, and then it kind of snowballed into Aftershock, where they were really discovered, and then Gary kind of caught wind of them and started feeding the machine and doing what he does great, and,
Isn't
and got
that
behind
such
the band.
a great feeling? That's why we're in this business.
best.
Why we do what we do.
It's our responsibility to
Man,
find new talent.
because I heard about them, I think it was maybe Robert England or somebody called me and he was like, "T, you got to check out this new band when you go to I think it was Rebellion Rock and Roll, whatever it was," and I was like, okay. And when I saw them, it was just goosebumps, and I'm like, oh my, here it is. Here, this is why we love what we do. This band is freaking amazing. I love those guys.
It's one thing to see like a great Korn or Judas Priest show or Kid Rock, but it's when you see a Nothing
with the young
More.
ones, that's
it.
Yeah,
I agree
just
with
when
you.
Five Finger came out too, same thing. When they came out, I was blown away, and I was like, yes. Or Volbeat, like
Hailstorm.
Yeah,
That's
those
one
are the
we
bands,
care
and you're
about a
just
lot.
like, man, so
You see these bands have moments, and Nothing More had a moment in Sacramento last year, and then now it turned into them. They had #1 single at Rock Radio. And now they're on the second. So,
and this story is a wonderful counterbalance to what Gene Simmons had to say. There are people that are looking for bands and putting effort into them, like you guys did. I mean that in.
If you look around, you tell me if rock is dead.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, all over the country, but it's actually nice to hear a counterbalance story to a guy who is putting down kind of what we're all doing here, and at least in my opinion. You went and you were standing there by yourself at the Roxy, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and now those guys. I mean, even they had a complete meltdown, not of their own doing, at Rock on the Range, and they still went out there and did everything they could to entertain somebody. Those are the kind of bands that need to be seen by people here. And the question I did want to ask you, do you see new people coming to the store as you put a new festival up? Like, I'm sure there are people that come to Rock on the Range that are here, and there are people that come to Carolina that are here. You bringing in new people? Are these festivals bringing as many people to the table that have never been to a festival before because of the location?
This one specific, yeah. I mean, Louisville is a market that hasn't had this type of event. I mean, they have bands come through, but they haven't had the type of headliner like a Judas Priest. Kid Rock will come do do an arena here, but it's the undercard that's different. They don't get these headlining undercards, and that's that's a lot of credit to Gary and Danny, kind of looking at these bands and saying what makes sense and putting together an amazing bill.
Thanks, Clay.
You're welcome,
I
Gary.
didn't expect a compliment, did you?
We've noticed like these festivals start out little older in demo when they start, but then you incorporate things like Bring Me the Horizon, A Day to Remember, Nothing More, and these bands, these scene bands.
Memphis May Fire.
Yeah, AP bands that we're seeing at Rebellion and Rock on the Range, and even here, like a youth explosion. So that's very encouraging for us. Because rock at first is it's imperative for the parents or the older demo to hand down.
Yeah.
Rock, and that's what Gene Simmons is missing out on, and that's what he's. The PC answer to the Gene Simmons comment is that it's harder. It's harder for rock because things are so disposable right now, and things are so quick in social media, and it's the churn and burn of like a pop artist. But there's no loyalty there. What rock has is loyalty.
Yeah.
It's just harder.
And it's a lifestyle.
It's harder
thing.
for everybody. This is the new music business. I think rock is an easy place to point, but I think everyone's affected by it.
But and it blows my mind too, where you have a band like A Day to Remember or Bring Me the Horizon, who, unless they're a cool station like our stations, I mean, we jump on it, or the new Amity Affliction and stuff like that. Like, we're not scared. Rock is supposed to be edgy. Rock is supposed to be like the redheaded stepchild. Like, I'm cool with that. And the problem is, but these bands are selling records, are selling out shows, and they're still not getting airplay. So what's the problem? It's people that are, excuse my language, that are pussies and scared to be rock and roll, and they have that stupid rock-ternative thing now that's going on, and I just refuse to jump on that bandwagon. I
rock
refuse.
and roll is supposed to not be about square pegs and
That's
square
right.
holes.
That's right.
But yet programmers predominantly, we've had this talk, Tina,
Yep.
that it's this stuff that sounds safe to their ears. That's when if it sounds safe, that's when you shouldn't do it.
Exactly.
If your mother likes it, turn it off.
It's supposed to be about bourbon and gourmet man food and rock and roll.
What a beautiful collection of things to bring together.
I mean, what goes better hand in hand, like you said.
Well
Yeah.
done, sir.
Wow, I've
well
been hammered
done.
since noon.
I was this angel
It's
stuff.
amazing.
I was
Have you
last
tried
this?
night.
Have you
Yeah,
tried
last
it?
Tried
night
it.
I
It's
did.
my
Really
third
good.
one.
It's
It's
really
terrific.
good. So.
Yeah, it's the bee's knees.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
Well, once again, thank you guys so much, Clay and
Thank
Gary
you so
Spivak,
much.
for putting this together and all of the things that you do, festival-wise and music-wise. We really appreciate
And
it.
thank you guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't do it without
Listen,
you guys.
we'll come
too.
to every
Oh,
single
man.
festival. You keep throwing them, we'll be there.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.